Hello and welcome. I am going to go over my top 10 core exercises for beginners. Many of these are Pilates oriented, so more geared towards the beginner Pilates student, and they are very much focused on that deeper core. So that core that's going to keep you healthy and strong through that whole lumbopelvic region. So let's begin. I'm going to get on the mat here, and you can get on the mat with me as we begin. Now, it's important for you to know that if you have any pain through the SI joint, through the back, or if you have pressure coming out through the core, then that's a moment for you to pause and seek some advice from a physiotherapist, or you can send me some questions in the comments and we can tailor something that is more directly appropriate for you. So let's begin. I am going to come onto my back, and I like to begin, even though we're working on the core, with a little bit of a stretch for the lumbar spine. So this doesn't count as the first exercise, but what I want to do, just because I was doing a squat exercise just now, is make sure that my back feels relaxed and long. As I do these exercises, I want to pay attention to what my back's doing. Why? Because the exercises are meant to focus on my core, and as such, as the back is a partner, and sometimes even I'm going to call it a bully, or sort of an unlikely, unintentional, what's the word, when you do stuff and then you get mad at people because you do it, martyr. The back can be a little bit of a martyr. So I want to pay attention to my back and try to relax it as I go through these exercises. So the first exercise, and again, these are beginner exercises, and know that these in many ways are full body exercises because we need to find that connection, is the pelvic tilt on my back. So I want to start to tuck under through the pelvis, bringing the pubic bone towards my belly button, and then I'm going to arch my back. As I do that, I want to make sure that I keep breathing. And make sure that the belly button is coming towards the spine and not pushing out. Now, if we wanted to advance this exercise, we could do an exercise called pelvic clocks. And what this is meant to do is to think about the pelvis as a clock. And so we would start to go from our 6 o'clock to our 12 o'clock. And then without rotating the spine, and this is where you need to tune into your spine, we would think about tipping the pelvis from 3 and 9 o'clock. So tipping the pelvis from 3 and 9 o'clock, there's a lot of core involvement. And what's lovely about this exercise is it's very meditative because you need to put so much attention into your back to be aware of whether or not you are in fact just rotating your spine to find that. So right now I'm doing 9 to 3 o'clock. So that is a version of a pelvic clock. Now we could go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, but we're just going to go forward and back and side to side. So this is a little bit of a warm-up for my favorite core exercises. The third thing that I would do, so the third exercise as a bit of a warm-up, is going to be rotating knees from side to side. Now what am I doing here that involves the core? I'm using my obliques pretty subtly as I again avoid the back coming into rotation. So I don't want my pelvis tipping over. If I thought about these bones as being on a level with the book on top, I would try to avoid that book tilting from side to side. So this initial practice is a really nice way to bring some awareness into how you're feeling, as well as how you're breathing, because it can be really common to really avoid your breath and start to hold it. Good. There we go. So those 3 exercises, starting with the pelvic tilt, then the pelvic clock, so a little bit of a variation of that, and then the twist and knee fall out, kind of helps us to dissociate the movement of our core from the movement of our back by becoming aware of moving only this. Now the second exercise that the second phase of exercise is really finding that deep core. So my 4th favorite exercise is drawing the transverse abdominus inward. So drawing the belly button in towards the spine, which is one of those things that we know how to do because we know how to suck in our bellies. But then can you breathe also? So you've got that core drawn in, you've got that nice taut strength there, but can you also breathe? And that is not a given. So try to find 5 breaths there. And now that you've found those breaths, I want you to bring your hands up towards your rib cage. So this is a challenge for me. It may not be for you, or maybe even more so for you, but the rib cage likes to often flare out, which corresponds to extension through the T-spine. By drawing those rib cage more narrowly, if you put your hands right below, you'll notice there is more strength through the transverse abdominis that comes under the breastbone here. You'll find that's a little more taut. Now you're less pokey out, and if you come just under your rib cage, you'll notice your obliques start to fire a little bit more. So finding that full core does not have to mean tucking your pelvis under and finding it that way. You should still be able to stay neutral, but finding that strength through here, and that can be a challenge. So now that we've found that, our 4th exercise, we're going to move into number 5. So number 5 is going to be heel slide. Now I teach this a lot to moms who are either pregnant or postnatal because I find that the support of the floor allows them to maintain that connection and contraction without the belly pushing out, because the belly, I'll show you mine, could push out if you can't find the strength to draw inward. It also may be dependent on how much you stretch through your pregnancy, or if you are a man and you're a weightlifter and you've noticed that you're lacking a little bit of deep core, then you can also have a little bit of stretching through this connective tissue between your 6-pack and notice that it's pushing up. And for you, it's really important that you find that deeper core, so the heel slide may also be appropriate for you. Now, if you find that that heel slide is appropriate, then you'll continue with that. You can do 3 sets of 15, or you can move into the number 6 exercise that I like to have people do, which is drawing the knee towards the chest. So now we're doing leg extension. However, it's important to know this is a full body exercise too. So you find your core, your upper TA, your lower TA, that drawing inward with the obliques, but you also need to really press into that standing foot. So my right foot is pressing into the mat, and as I do that, I feel that activation through my bum. I'm going to show you the other side. You always want to do both sides, but do a little extra on the side that's more difficult. You always also want to have it so that your hips are not falling out to the side. So here, lots of pressure through my left foot. And for you who are watching, because I have it on mirror mode, it might be the opposite leg, so I apologize if it looks opposite in for the camera. But my outside leg pressing in, and the other leg coming across. And as I do that, I maintain that connection, and that feels just right for me. So that's my leg extension, number 6. The next one that I want to show you is a little bit of a progression of that. So number 7, we're going to bring both knees up, and this is where it starts to become challenging for people. We may find that with this one, the belly button starts to push out and it's harder to draw inward. So make sure you're doing this one if and only if you're able to still draw that belly button in. So now we're gonna do toe taps here. I'm going to press one foot down, bring it back, and then the other foot, bring it back. Other foot down, and bring it back, and then the other foot down. So I still have that nice connection to upper and lower TA. I don't feel pressure in my lower back. That's really important. That's going to be your gauge. But I also pay attention to whether or not my rib cage is still able to expand on the mat. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I start to arch there too. So it's not only your lower back that can be taking a lot of pressure through this. So this is number 7 of my favorite core exercises to engage your deeper core, and that is the toe taps. I'm going to take a pause to stretch and circle through my lower back just to make sure that it's nice and released. Now I am going to come into my dead bug exercise. So I like this exercise a lot because it's a great reminder of having to really draw in that upper TA. So number 8, dead bug exercise, is going to challenge that upper core as well. And so just take a moment to get used to the choreography here. And you don't need to extend out all the way, but the opposite arm and leg will extend. And as you do so, just check in with the back. So that's a lot more work that I have to do than with the other one. So I need to do this one nice and carefully, or else I'll start to feel pressure in my back. And noticing what the core is doing, notice that the hips want to stay relatively stable. And you may do 2 of each, you may do 5 of each. That will completely depend on you. So that's number 8, and that is the dead bug exercise. So my number 9 favorite exercise, I'm going to start by sitting up, and that is a roll down. What I love about this exercise is it teaches me how to articulate every level of my spine and get a little more space through my spine as I draw my core in. So the roll down looks like this, drawing in through that lower, deep transverse abdominus, which is connected all the way into the pubis, and tucking under, and you'll see my sacrum wants to roll. Now notice I'm rolling down, but it doesn't mean my shoulders have to start to kind of reach up top. I don't want to feel pain or pressure in my back, but I should feel a bit of a stretch as I roll down. I may need to really press into my feet as well. For me, sometimes for this one, for some reason, my calves like to cramp. My left calf is cramping right now. It's working hard to stabilize me as well. So the slower you go, just so you know, the harder it is. Belly button's coming in. Make sure you're breathing. Know that if you take a deep breath in, the belly will naturally rise, and breathing out, the belly button will come in closer to the spine naturally with the pressures that are managed with the movement of the diaphragm. And for me, that was the most challenging one so far. Bringing my knees into my chest is always a good idea. And I'm going to end with an oblique exercise, so number 10, where my knees will fall out to the side, but they'll do so from an upright position. So for this one, I'm going to just scooch out a little bit with my mat. See if I can slide on it here. That should be enough. And I'm going to bring my arms out to the side. I like this for stability because it opens up my chest, and I feel a nice stretch through my chest as well. I'm going to find neutral, so I don't need to tuck under. I want to find neutral here. And again, I am trying to avoid my hips completely tilting and having that rotation happen through my back, but there will be a little bit of rotation as I challenge the obliques to stabilize myself and keep me from falling to the right. And then I'm going to come back to center. I'll combine my breath here as I find that that's helpful for challenging that stability, that rotational stability as I come to the left. So I'm going to take a deep breath out to come further. And we don't have to do this that slowly. You can do it a little bit more quickly, but just maintain that awareness of the lower back that is not feeling like it's under too much stress. Now I hope that you have enjoyed my top 10 core exercises for beginners for finding that deep core. And I hope that what you can draw from this is maybe 5 exercises as you've gone through this practice with me, 5 exercises that you can do that help you feel more connected to the core and help you feel that you're building that deep core where your belly is not pushing outward as you do so and where your back is feeling nice and comfortable. And then I hope you've also found 1 or 2 exercises that will challenge you that 2 weeks from now you'll feel, actually, I think that this feels okay too. The last thing that I think is really important is, how does this core stability really translate to my life? And I don't want to leave you without mentioning that. So now that you're working on that deep core, hopefully I've inspired you with my top 10 core exercises. I want you to notice how you're sitting at your desk, or if you're a gymnast, a dancer, a yogi, how you sit in that kind of starting position, or if you just like to sit on the floor. I want you to notice what you do, what you tend to do. So a lot of people will sit like this and stabilize through here, and this is just kind of where they find their stability. And these might be the people that over the course of the day start to hurt a little bit there. So I want you to catch yourself if you're doing that. Do a little bit of that pelvic tilt and find that neutral. As you find that neutral, your core will just naturally turn on. It's magic, I promise you. And you will feel a little bit better. So this is a kind of a re-education, a postural re-education for your body that you need to be patient with, but I want you to also know that it does build and you will grow to find a little bit more ease and strength just in your repetition of having a little bit of a better alignment through your core. And this is a way, it's just really an intelligent and efficient way to do that. And I promise you this is true because it definitely is the case for me. I had really, really weak, deeper core abdominals back in my 20s. And in fact, saw a picture one day where you could see the outline of, I'm going to call it a 2-pack. It definitely was not a 6-pack. Really, really strong external abdominals. But the belly was completely protruding out. And again, there was this combined with this really lordotic posture. And it was no wonder I was in a lot of lower back pain. I would love going dancing, but then I would, after an hour, be in so much pain. So it absolutely kind of changed my life and my dancing. I loved to salsa dance at the time. As well as just feeling comfortable in my body to find these core muscles. So I hope that you are already there and just trying to get a little bit further into your practice, or maybe there's been a life transition, maybe you've had abdominal surgery and you're trying to find it there. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. If you would like to see more of these videos or different content, please feel free to message me and let me know what you'd like to see. I'm happy to provide more content that people are specifically asking for. Let me know where you're from and let me know what your background is. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.